And good evening to everybody. Welcome back. Here is Michele, and today we are going to have this third event for what we call Couch of Science, a light version of Pint of Science, where actually we are trying to share with you some science, some knowledge. My name is Michele. I will be your host for tonight. With me, there are a lot of people on the background that I will already say thank to them. I will introduce directly the first one, which is going to warm up you audience with a very nice introduction regarding the history of vaccines. And if you have any questions for him or for our guest later, just use the chat of Facebook or YouTube, as you prefer. Depends where actually you're following us. And remember that we are trying to do a small and nice presentation and a small and nice QA session at the very end. And so I will just let the stage to Matteo, which is going to talk you about how actually vaccines were discovered, which is a very, very interesting thing. Right, Matteo?
Yes, thank you, Michele, for the introduction. Yeah, it's going to be a small piece, nothing too complicated, but I hope you will enjoy. So we indeed decided to try to answer this very simple question. That is, did you know why vaccines are actually called vaccine? Because it's a very interesting story. It actually started with one of the deadliest viruses that ever existed on Earth. And the name was Variola virus. And it was causing the disease called smallpox. And this disease was known from very, very long time ago, millennia ago. Actually was already bringing havoc during the Greek and the Roman Empire. And he was able almost single-handedly to decimate Native Americans during the colonization. And in the late 18th centuries, it was still widespread all over the world. And it was killing around 400,000 people every year just in Europe. And it was leaving like 30% of the survivor blind. So it was a terrible disease. And of course, there was no treatment, no cure. Nobody actually knew how to deal with that. And then one guy came, this Edward Jenner. He was a physician from UK. And he became interested in the smallpox. And he noticed something that actually was quite new at the time. And that was that mink mates, for some mysterious reason, they seemed to be immune to the smallpox. They didn't catch it most of the time. But actually what they did was to catch another similar disease that was called cowpox, because it was coming from the cows. And it was very, very similar to the smallpox in the sense that it was giving kind of the same effect. You were having like blisters on your skin, but contrary from the smallpox, it was really mild in humans. And most of the people that catch it tend to just get rid of it in a couple of weeks, and then they were fine. And then after, magically, for unknown reason, they seem to be kind of immune to the smallpox itself. So Jenner started to think, well, maybe there might be some kind of connection between the two. And of course, since he was a scientist, he did like what any other scientist would do at the time. He designed an experiment, a particularly cruel experiment, when you will know about it, to actually test his hypothesis. All he needed was a cow infected with cowpox, a human infected with smallpox, and a human caviar. And interestingly enough, he picked the son of his gardener, an 11-year-old boy, don't know why, and he took this boy, he infected him with the cowpox. And as expected, it was kind of okay. The guy became ill, then a couple of days later, he recovered, and he was fine. And then he did his real experiment a couple of weeks later. He took the content of the blister of a person infected with the smallpox, and he injected it in the boy for 9 consecutive times. And for 9 consecutive times, luckily for us, the boy, and for Jenner, the boy never got the smallpox, proving, actually, for the first time, that the vaccine was actually working, that catching the cowpox was giving you immunity towards the smallpox. And this is even more remarkable when you think, or even crazier, when you think that nobody at the time knew what they were doing, because the idea of the presence of germ or microorganism was actually not there at all. It was almost a century later that something like that actually appeared. And if we jump forward a couple of centuries later, this experiment led to one of the best achievements of humans in the fight against the viruses, that is the complete eradication of the smallpox from the earth. It actually became completely eradicated in 1980s, and it's probably the only extinction that was caused by us that we can be proud of. And if you think about it, everything started from a cow. And in Latin, cows spells vacca, and for this reason, Jenner decided to call his drug a vaccine, and that's why we call it vaccine.
That's a very, very interesting story. Actually, I love it. I love it. That's it's crazy.
Insane.
Also, how in that period they used to do this crazy experiment with young people.
Yes, I guess that the trial 1, 2, and 3 phase was much easier than what we have to do right now.
Definitely other time. Definitely other time. Okay, Matteo, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed.
And I hope that actually our audience enjoyed it. If you have any questions regarding this, maybe we can try to have a small Q&A at the very end. But first, actually, I would like to say bye-bye to Matteo. And I will introduce another person that actually is going to help me with this interview, which is Anna. So, Matteo, thank you so much. We are going to see you later. And Anna,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you.
We don't have actually any problem with your microphone today, which is very, very good.
Yet.
And so actually you will interview with me our guest. So he's a doctor, a general doctor, and we decided to invite him because we would like to check also how in Belgium the pandemic is going to face inside the hospital, and how actually doctors are living this situation, because this is something that is unique. And for this reason, actually, we decided to have him. It was so nice to actually decide to join us. So without wasting other time, I will just introduce our guest, Antoine de Winter. Hello,
Hi.
Antoine.
Hello.
How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for hosting me. That's,
thank you
for accepting our invitation. Yes.
Yeah, thank you to being with us. And so first of all, I would like to ask you, how are you? All fine? All good?
Well, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty tired though, because I've been working pretty hard this week, and so yeah, I miss sleeping pretty good, but I'm pretty fine. Pretty fine.
Okay, so let's talk about you actually. Just introduce yourself. Let us know what you do here in Belgium. Actually, you are from Belgium. You're from you're Belgian.
Yeah, I'm from Belgium. Yeah.
Okay. And so you are actually a general doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
so well,
more.
Right now, I'm working on a Maison Médicale, which is called a medical center. And since the beginning of the epidemic, I'm working also at the emergency room at the Hôpital Saint-Pierre in Brussels. And I'm sorting people, so I'm seeing first patient and trying to make a resume if they need to go to the emergency, or they need to get home in confinement and stuff. So that's what I do for the past 4 weeks now. And yeah, that would be it.
And so how actually your work changed since the pandemic?
Well, that's pretty funny, because the center where I'm actually working is pretty empty, because I think the message to stay home and not disturb your doctors get into the people's mind. So that's pretty effective message, I guess. And on the other hand, well, it's getting quiet now, because I think the epidemic, I'll show you some graphic and stuff, is going down. But for the first week, I've seen a lot of patients at the emergency room with severe symptoms, which I'm pretty not used to see. I mean, at that point. So that's pretty imbalance between calm situation in the center and at the emergency, which is pretty tough situation.
Oh, okay. But do you have right now, or actually in the past, some emergency in terms of materials? I don't know, personal or machines. Do you have any of these problems?
You mean before?
Before, yeah.
So I've been working at the... Yeah, go ahead.
No,
I was
I'm
saying
if you have lack of materials in terms of mask or maybe
no,
beds for patient.
I think the Belgium is handling the situation pretty correctly because we've got masks, we've got everything we need at the beginning of the epidemic. Some people just installed tents with a small examination room, you know, like in boxes and stuff. So I think the situation was pretty okay compared to Italy, for instance, or even Spain and stuff. So we got masks, we got alcoholic solution, we got everything we need so far. And each day, we send a paper to the ministry just to check our stock of gloves, masks, and stuff. So so far so good.
So far so good. Okay, that's a very, very nice news. And but actually, what I want to ask is what someone should do in case they have some symptoms. Or first of all, which are the symptoms that should trigger an alarm in you that say, oh, maybe I have the virus?
Well, which is pretty hard. That kind of virus. So the COVID-19 right now is the more the epidemic lasts, the more symptoms appears. So, but first the symptoms are like the symptoms of viral infection. So you got temperature, headache, cough, like dry cough, sore throats, the loss of sense. You know, you can taste nothing. That's pretty specific symptom of COVID. Short of breathness, which is like one of the major issue to see if you're going to hospitalize people. So we have to make a difference between several people. I mean, if you're like 95 with diabetes, hypertension, and you got like small symptoms, you should go to the emergency. But if you're like 16 or 25 or something, or pretty young, in good health, you don't need to go. You need to stay at home to reduce the propagation of the virus. That's basically it. But I would say the trigger symptoms would be high fever, short of breathness, called dyspnea. What else? What we say in French, altération de l'état général, when your general condition goes down, you feel super tired, like a lot of headache, and temperature goes up all the time, even with paracetamol and stuff. So
okay,
that would be
general tiredness.
Yes.
I would say. Okay.
Well, that's more. That's very because I've seen some patients today. It's more like a fatigue. It's very deep. It's very intense, and it's not just being tired for working too much or something. That's pretty intense.
Okay. And could you actually describe how is your day in this crazy period? So you say that you were saying that you are not sleeping so much.
Well,
I'm sorry for that.
Well, this week I haven't been working in the emergency, so but it's getting better because the last time I went to the emergency room was like this weekend, I think, and I've seen like, I don't know, 15 patients on 6 hours, and at the beginning, like 4 weeks ago, I've seen like 50. So so basically I go to the emergency, change myself with, you know, mask, gloves, and everything, you know, suits and stuff. So, and I'm in those tents, you know, those specific tents, and I'm seeing different kind of patients and telling them if you have to go to the emergency or going back home, and yeah, that's basically what I do those weeks.
Okay. So very, very intense, and basically you don't have time to see your, let's say, normal patients. So you are not involved. How does it work? That because this is interesting. I mean, there is this emergency, but still, unfortunately, people can get sick of something else. So how actually you are able to handle this, or actually you ask someone else to help you with this?
Well, I won't be lying because these 2 past week were pretty okay for me, honestly. I've been working pretty much, but since I'm not working at the emergency, I'm not the doctor, which is like completely overwhelmed with works and stuff. So that's pretty okay. I still got some free times for me and doing my stuff and you know, walking around and blah blah blah. But for my colleague that works in the emergency room, since you got a small pool of doctors and nurses, they're working pretty hard. Yeah. But to be honest, I can say what's the situation really inside the ICU unit and stuff. but they're doing such nice work, but pretty intense.
So I have a question actually. Sorry.
No, go on.
You are working on the emergency now, or before the COVID situation, you were working in the emergency as well? So has your job changed?
Well, it's changed. Well, basically, I worked in two different places. One with the children out of Brussels, and the rest of the time I'm working in Brussels in the medical center. But I've been working in the emergency for years now, so that's pretty. So yeah, most of the time I work like family doctor. That's what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, when a patient with a severe case of coronavirus arrived, which is the procedure? So it goes through, I guess, the emergency, and then is moved in the intensive care, right?
Well, it's like two different. You have to. So first, the patient comes. He goes into the tent with doctors like me, doing some medical testing, and still I got those. I don't know if you can see this.
Wait, we can actually share your screen.
Yeah.
Screen, and I think
you need
now
permission
we can.
from the boss.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, wait. You should be able to share actually the.
Yeah, that's okay now, no?
Yeah, if you go back to the other one.
Yeah, the other.
The other tab.
Yeah,
exactly.
That looks fine.
Okay, perfect.
So that's the paper I need to fill in when I'm at the emergency room. So that's all the symptoms. You got cough, temperature, anosmia, guzy, blah blah blah. Some kind of important medical condition like BPCO, asthma, and stuff. And well, since I got all filled in, like temperature, respiratory frequency, saturation, pulsation, tension, I can make a sort and choosing, okay, COVID code rose means like a severe case of COVID. So those one is going to be handled by the ICU unit. And COVID with mild symptoms and usual patient with a broken arm or pneumonia whatsoever, and non-relevant basically. So yeah. So that's what I do. So I see patient, and afterward, I just send them to my colleague intensivist or the ICU. So,
okay. So that's a good news actually, that it's still something manageable in Belgium. That's a very good news, because in the end, actually, apparently there is a very high mortality rate in Belgium, which is slightly higher than country like Italy, but I think it's mostly related to data.
The day that Belgium passed Spain was all over the news in Spain. It's like
of course.
is doing.
Also in Italy was exactly the same concept, but in the end I think it's mainly related to how you count the cases, and
I think so. Yeah.
It's very weird, but for you it's easy to do the test. So if there is someone that actually has the suspect to have the virus, it's easy to have the test to do it, or it's still very complicated? Because I remember the very beginning in Belgium was quite tough to have the test, to perform the test.
Well, the thing is, since I got those clinical symptoms, like short of breathness, temperature, dyspnea and stuff, I can say, okay, that's COVID. Because of the epidemic situation. So we don't need to make tests to everyone so far. I'm not talking about the antibodies test to see if someone is immunized. I'm talking about the diagnostical tests. And we only do the test for the people that present severe symptoms.
Okay.
That's the policy right now. Maybe it would change because everything changed from day to day. So I don't know, but that's what we do right now.
Yeah, about that, actually, Renata has a very nice question. How long does it take to have a COVID-19 test results? Do you have any idea?
When you go to the emergency room, you do what we call a PCR test. Just take a few hours. So that's
okay. So it's quite straightforward. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Up 2 days, but
Okay. And I don't know actually if this is still a discussion in Belgium. I have to be honest. I'm not sure about it, but is starting to speak about serological tests here in Belgium, because in Italy is a big deal right now.
Yeah.
But for now, it's still something that they are trying to understand if it's possible, because it's not 100% sure, and there is a lot of differences. Do you think that is a good idea to introduce this kind of test?
Well, yes. But the thing is, after the 2 of May, we're gonna release people in the streets. So we need to practically know who's immune or not. So those tests are going to be used in that purpose, just to see if your immune system develop antibodies. And so since we know if you are immunized or not from the COVID-19, you can say, okay, you're good. You can go like in the general population and do the stuff. And it really helps to trigger to lower the epidemic situation. Because the things when after the 2 May in Belgium, when people are going to go in the streets, cluster of infection is going to spread out. That's pretty normal because people are going to be in contact again, and so we're going to see new cases coming. So it would be really helpful to know if people are immunized or not. So yes, that's going to be very useful.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Good news, actually. Very, very good news. And actually, here we have a question from Cedric. It's a big one. And maybe it's more a political question, but if you have any information, could you comment on how does the future looks of the return of the academic life, in particular for international students? It's a tough one.
Well, it's a tough one, and I can answer to that specific question. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Okay, and, it's still under discussion in many of the countries. So I think that
that's not my, that's not my.
Maybe I can say a word because I am teaching, but I am TA of a course at the university. I don't know about schools, but for example, at university, I know that they are trying to adapt the exam period to have exams online and also in rooms where you can give enough separation to the students and so on. But in particular for the international students, we are forced to make everything accessible online. So even if a professor at university plans to prepare an exam only 2 hours and in a big room, we still need to adapt so that the international students don't have to come to Belgium. So that, but that's at university level. I have no idea about school.
Okay. But actually, this brings us to another question for you, Antoine.
Yeah.
Maybe actually, since you are not a virologist or an epidemiologist, you cannot say.
I'll let you know.
But do you think that this is going to end? This quarantine situation is going to end the 4th of May? It's going to be. We need a bit more time. Of course, it's not going to be from 0 to 100 at the same time. We are going to have a small, slow increase of the activities that we can do outside. But do you have a prediction? Do you think that we are going to stay in this condition for?
That's a pretty tough question because that's pretty recent infection. So it exists for 3 months, I think, and it's pretty hard to look forward. But what we know right now is when people are going to go back in the streets and the social life and stuff, we're gonna see new cases coming out. That's pretty sure. But we are basing on the statistical value called the R0, which is like a let me take my notes. So that's how to define the collective immunity. So it goes from 0, which is like no infection at all, from 25 or something, which is like a pandemic situation. So now with the confinement, we've been from 3.4 R situation, which is like a pandemic, to 0.8. And at one, I can define how you calculate the R0 later if you will. Is going to go up. So we know it's going to go up. We know at some point when people goes back, the virus is going to spread out again. But since the confinement has done its job, it's going to be way lower than it used to be like a few weeks ago. So, but to say we are going to be back on like what we used to know, I just can't answer that question. I don't know.
Okay. No, in fact, it's a quite tough question for everybody. And actually, what I will ask you to talk about is how you are living the situation. I mean, it's very weird, and I think since you are in the okay, maybe you are not in the first line, but you are in contact with all these people in the hospital. So do you feel you are afraid about that? You feel actually you feel comfortable in the hospital even though there is this situation? How actually you are living this?
Well, that's, you got several parts in the question, but I would say, like everyone else, that's pretty awkward situation. I've never seen that before. I guess you don't either.
No.
So I don't know. The fact that the future is pretty uncertain. Like everyone else, that's pretty scary. But on the other hand, I'm pretty happy to do my job in those circumstances and trying to have the worst situation. Even though, like you just said, I'm not like in the ICU units and doing food that's reanimation and intubation stuff, but that's just not what I do. So yeah.
Okay. And this might sound like a strange question, but we believe in general that in any situation there is something good. So we were wondering what actually you believe that for you it's something good that is coming out from this situation, and how actually you are facing this situation. So these are two different questions. So do you think there is something good for you in this moment, considering this situation, and there is something that actually is helping you to face the situation, even like a TV show or just your dog or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I would say Friends. I mean, the series, the Friends.
I'm rewatching it too.
I think everybody's watching it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the good side of the situation, I think that's everybody just notice that the human being is pretty fragile, and we have to care after us, and to help each other, and that's the best coming out of the situation, I think. And so I hope that something good is going to come out of it, and I'm sure it will. Yeah, so that's the first.
Yeah, I think that everybody is hoping for that, because in the end is tough for all of us. And
yeah,
so
for us, for example, this is something that the quarantine brothers know. This kind of events, for us, I mean,
that's true.
That's true.
Before, like, he was part of the Brussels team and part of the Leuven team. We were organizing our festivals. We had never worked together, and here we are. So I think
that's
it's
also the first time on Facebook Live. So that's
learning.
And you're doing great. You're doing great. So it's perfect. So actually, I would like to first of all thank you everybody that is listening us, especially Elodie. We have also Brian and Andrew, Renata, Cedric. Thank you all of you guys. And if you have other questions for Antoine, we are here. Mainly, actually, I have a questions related. Do you have any? This is something that I think that, again, I think that there is always a good side of everything, a bright side of life. And there is also sometimes some irony in this. So do you have any crazy story for the quarantine? So
well, I can talk about Boris Johnson. That would be
yeah, that's a huge irony. Yes, I would say that is very, very a good example of irony.
I don't know. Well, it's funny because when I was studying medicine, one of my teachers just told us we're going to go through an epidemic situation in the future years, and here we are. And that's not very ironic or either funny, but I'm just thinking through it right now.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
No, it's I know that it can be a tough question, but sometimes when you are in this absurd situation, you also face absurd situation, inside, like a moment or event that make you a bit make you laugh or maybe not. I don't know. It's just that,
Well, there's that situation that came like 1 week ago or something. So I was working at the emergency room. And, you see all those patients short of breath, like, looking like shit. And I see that that little teenager coming in, and she was like, okay, well, I need to change my contraception pills. And she was surrounded by like 10 people, coughing and temperature and short of breath. I was like, what the fuck is she doing here? So well, that's it. But if I get something better, I would.
No, that's funny actually, because again, as we said in the beginning, there is still people that they need medical support, but in this moment seems that everything is concentrated to this emergency, which is of course important, but still, it's part of the game, I would say.
Yeah, but there's going to be the second wave, because the patient that doesn't come for a month at the medical center, they will come someday with, worsen their pathology and stuff.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. Yeah, do you think that this will bring some other complications unrelated to the COVID? Someone that has stayed home way too long with a completely independent issue?
Well, there's like two things concerning the COVID. We don't know how it's going to evolve. That's going to be worse or better. I hope better. I guess better. But maybe we'll discover new clinical situation concerning the COVID. But on the other hand, my job is to take care of general population. And so I haven't seen patients for 6 weeks, which I usually see like each 2 weeks. So I think we're going to manage all the situation, but one thing at a time. So
yeah, that's it. One thing at a time. So I think that we have no questions from the audience, which is a shame, guys. If you have a question, just let us know. But otherwise, I think that we can just. In the meantime, what I can do, I will just inform you that after this event, if you still are hungry for science, at 8 p.m. there is another event on Pint of Science UK page. They are talking with Michael Foel, which is an astronaut, and they are talking about space talking. I don't know in specific about what, but you can just go in the Pint of Science UK page and have a look. Next week, actually, we are coming back, but we are trying to change a bit the focus of this event, because COVID is all around, as we said, and in all sense. And maybe we decide to go forward with another topic. And next week we are going to have some people speaking about black holes and astronomy in general. Maybe Anna, you can give us an introduction about that, since actually you are part of this world.
Yes, so it's we are inviting 2 PhD students from the Institute of Astronomy of KU Leuven, and they are going to talk about black holes and other things that are not black holes, but they have told me that I cannot tell you anymore because they want to tell you everything next week.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So just black holes and other stuff.
And actually, there is also another event that involved us next week, which is on Monday, the 27th. We are going to be with the British Embassy for an event called Planet, People and Health. And we are going to discuss the link between climate change and health. And you can have all the information in our Facebook page. There is an event with all the description, and I think we'll be live, of course, on stream. And you can actually join if you want. Coming back to the topic of today, Antoine, I have a good questions from our background people, and they're asking what exactly is the therapy in this moment for a person with a severe condition. So what actually you are trying to do to mild the symptoms and to help them?
So once again, you have to make a separation between severe condition and mild condition. For the mild condition, just the masks, just coughing in your elbow and stuff, and like most of the common flu, it will go okay. For the severe condition, it depends on several things, like your concentration of oxygen in the blood, the scanner, the blood test and stuff. Most of the thing is oxygenotherapy. So as long as your immune system is doing the job, trying to fill with people with oxygen. And there was like those debates about azithromycin and chloroquine, which was had like the super treatment of the COVID-19, and it appears in a new study 2 days ago that it was not efficient. So we also use let me check because I get some minutes too. Also use retroviral drugs that we use for HIV, and also drugs that we use for Ebola, that reduce the introduction of the virus in the different cells, like in the pulmonary cells, so people can still breathe correctly. But so far we don't have like an efficient drugs to limitate the worsened situation with COVID. So it's mostly what we call support medicine with oxygenotherapy, and sometimes, like I said, Ebola drugs, and sometimes what it was supposed to be like the best treatment with chloroquine, azithromycin, just appears not to be efficient. So I don't know if that answered the question, but
yeah. That, in fact, it's quite complicated. Depends on case by case. And actually, we have another question that we just touched this topic before very quickly. And so, which is how actually you are preparing yourself in case of a second wave? Also, because we know that coronavirus are in general seasonal virus.
Yeah.
So probably we are going to have, let's hope not, but it might be the case that we have a strong back in fall and winter. So how actually you are preparing with this? I mean, in sense of Belgium system, or in general doctors, or which is the idea?
Yeah, right now we are working day by day. So epidemiologists and virologists are thinking about the second wave of the virus, and so we are working on what we call the collective immunity. That's why people are going to get out of the house and out of confinement, so they can spread small amount of virus and make some antibodies to fight the COVID-19. So and it's possible that it becomes like the flu. Sorry. 1 second. So it might be possible that the flu, that the COVID-19 is going to be like seasonal, like the flu, like the common cold and stuff. And I think the whole scientific population is working right now on effective drugs and vaccine. So I think that's how we are preparing to eventually a second wave. Yeah.
Okay. We have also another question regarding, which is, I think it's a tough one, regarding the masks.
Yeah.
So have you guys got any opinions about ventilated versus unventilated FFP2 masks?
Yes. Well, the difference between FFP2, the FFP2 must be only for nurses and doctors that works with invasive acts and people with severe condition of COVID. Because we just noticed now that the more infected you are, the more sick you are, the more virus you get in your throat and in your spit and stuff.
Okay.
So that's why, so it's called symptoms related infection. So that's why kids aren't, they don't spread out the infection, because they don't have any symptoms. So the less symptoms you have, the better you feel if you want. So the FFP2 must be only for doctors and nurses that works in the emergency room with severe cases. What we call the ventilated mask, like the surgical mask, is useful for each doctor and nurses too. And once we're going to unconfine the people, so they can propagate the virus to the population. So yes, FFP2 is for medical condition, for medical institution and stuff, and the other is for the rest of the population.
So basically, for us that actually are going out, I don't know, to grocery shop or stuff like that, the ventilated one is more than enough.
Yes, more than enough. You can also make your own, but you have to you can make your own, but it's only for 3 hours stop. You have to wash it like 60 degrees, just remove it by the elastics. So yeah, so surgical mask and handmade mask are way more sufficient for normal situation. FFP2 are for clinical situation.
We have a question also from Leah that she's asking something very interesting because a main problem in Italy was that the number of places for intensive care were very low compared to the number of the population. So is this the case in Belgium, or is this why actually you have everything under control because the number of places available it's higher in rate with the number of person?
Well, that's a mix of different things. First, so the virus spread out more intensely in Italy. So we get more time than Italy to prepare the situation. So the confinement was done before Italy. So the spread of the virus, we call flatten the curve. I guess everybody knows it. So the less you get more symptoms, the more you get available doctor and machine and people to take care of it. But on the other hand, Belgium is a country we get, I think, the more hospital for the population. So we are pretty prepared to this kind of situation. But if it wasn't any confinements, it's going to be shitty. But since those three different, the confinements, the good medical equipment, and sufficient people working on this hospital, that's why we handle the situation so good, if I may say.
As good as possible.
Yeah, you had a bit more time to prepare yourself. That's
I guess it's a combination of both, right? Like it arrived later, so there was a little bit more time to prepare. Plus, good.
Okay, I think that actually our time is finished. Thank you, Antoine, for this. It was very, very helpful.
Pleasure.
And I hope that you enjoyed it. And and good luck with your job. And
thank you for your job as well, to you and to all the
me and
the
of course, all the people involved, not just in the hospitals, but also in all the other care centers that we have around Belgium and similar. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody to be with us. Thank you, of course, on our backstage people, Michael, Matteo, Renata. Thank you, guys. You are always very helpful. And thank you also to Celine and Guillaume. And also we have Renata, we have Matteo in the darkness, and Michael. Here we go, guys. Thank you so much for your help. And I think that for today, that's it. As always, remember that you can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter and Instagram as well. So just if you have any questions, you can send an email or just contact us in our Pint of Science Facebook page or Instagram. And that's it for today.
One sec. You can also suggest topics for us. If you are curious about something specific or would like to talk about something, we can be your platform. So contact us if you want to talk or want to hear about something specific.
Yes, exactly. So thank you so much, and see you next Thursday with this special event about astronomy and black holes. And be with us, but because there will be a very, very special surprise. And that's it for today. Thank you again, Antoine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us, and see you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.